The hood is the cruelest of prisons, the most unusual of punishments.
Why you running so hard?
You're born into it.
Well, Kyle, do you ever have dreams?
Sometimes.
Do you ever listen to the Imperial March?
All the time.
So have you ever had Imperial dreams?
Every night. Yeah.
All right, so I'm Noah Saturn. This is Kyle Mulford. He is the something to my something.
Something dark side.
Yes. He is the Spike Lee to my Barry Jenkins.
Can I be Barry Gordy?
Sure. You can be the Last Dragon. Anyway, so welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the show where two guys use the power of streaming services and the power of the internet to watch random movies, and hopefully we got a good one.
What do we got? We got Imperial Dreams, where John Boyega, it's a prequel to episode 7, where John Boyega dreams of becoming an Imperial Stormtrooper.
And then realizes, oh, that's bad, I should join the Resistance.
Yes. We find that out in episode 7.
Okay.
We're doing this backwards, kind of like the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Although this came out before episode 7, I believe.
Yes. Because this was 2014 and Force Awakens was 2017, I believe.
Yes.
Or 2015.
20 something.
It was 2015, then Last Jedi was 2017, and then Rise of the whatever is 2019.
And speaking of that,
Rise of the Cookie Dough.
It is November 2019 as we record this.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of forgot this, but I saw that Blade Runner is no longer in the future because it opens up Los Angeles November 2019, apparently.
Yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, Blade Runner future is kind of lame.
Although
it kind of sucks. I'd take the Star Trek future any day of the week.
They
have food replicators.
We don't have flying cars yet. We don't have androids, and not everyone wears a trench coat or neon clothes. So
depends on where you go. If you're at a rave, maybe.
That's true. A lot of neon there.
Oh yeah.
Before we get into our current movie, what you watching?
Not a lot that I can remember, as I don't write everything down like you loser.
I know. I'm an OCD loser.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a ton this time, so I'm only going to go through some of the interesting ones, which I've seen quite a few good movies lately. We did not get to record last time because of
we were busy.
Issues. And then last week, actually, I got into a car accident, so that kind of hindered my movie watching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting couple of weeks.
And now he only has one arm.
No,
you still have both your arms.
I still have all 3 of my arms.
All 3 of your arms.
So last time we recorded was way back in October. So I will mention that I've started a yearly thing now. This is the second year I've done it, where I take an entire horror movie franchise the weekend before Halloween and watch the entire franchise. So I went Halloween all the way through Halloween Resurrection. And there was a lot of fun stuff in there. I will tell you that if you want to skip any of them, The Curse of Michael Myers and Resurrection. Resurrection is terrible.
But it has a rapper.
Yeah, Busta Rhymes.
So it has to be good, right?
Yes, of course. Because, when you're getting late into a series, you got to add a rapper.
Yeah, that was a weird thing where they'd add rappers to horror movies for some reason.
Some other things to note.
Clearly, the best one was Deep Blue Sea because it had an amazing music video where
yes,
LL Cool J turns into a shark.
Yes. One to mention actually that I didn't really like was Wreck, because that one is one REC, which a lot of people like because they did something different with the zombie. Well, yeah, they took the zombie thing and then they took the found footage thing and mashed it together, and what do you get? You get a lot of running around where you can't see what the hell is going on. So I was kind of excited to watch it because people kind of dig this one and they're like, oh, they did something different and it's cool and it's scary. I was like, how were you scared? I couldn't tell what was going on in this movie. at all for
and
most of it.
It was remade for American audiences as Quarantine, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I believe that's it. I watched Teen Spirit, which was interesting because it was like this 1.5-hour music video. But I think that Elle Fanning did her own singing in that. And if she did, she's got a really good voice.
Cool.
I kind of dug it. It was a very simple story, but it was good singing and just a fun little movie.
Was it about Nirvana?
Yes. She joined Nirvana.
After
Kurt Cobain died. Did you not know that they went on? And
I forgot that.
One really good one I saw that this was a first time viewing for me was Black Swan. I had never seen that before, and I don't know why, because it was really good. It was a really twisted movie and just really well done. I highly recommend it.
I haven't seen very many Darren Aronofsky movies. I saw his first movie, Pi. Thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Black Swan, and I haven't seen Mother.
I have not seen Mother either.
Although it's pretty much forgotten about by now.
Yeah,
no one talks about it.
That one was very divisive. So, like, half the people really hated it, and half the people really loved it. There was, like, no in-between on that one.
I do like the fact that he pretty much banged out the script in a weekend.
I finally watched the third How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. It was good.
Was it hidden?
Yeah, but obviously not well enough.
Not for long.
Because they found it. Just because I loved Critters growing up, and I still think the first Critters is a legit just fun horror movie.
Is that the one where they swear when they get blown up?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. But in a different language, so you get little subtitle on
and then one of them eats an E.T. toy or something.
But I watched I think it's a straight-to-TV movie called Critters Attack that just came out this year, I think.
Yeah, I think it was on Sci-Fi.
It was... don't watch it if you're not a fan of Critters. I mean, if you love the whole series, though, and you just like Critters and want to see more of them, it was a serviceable movie. I watched Missing Link. I'll tell you right now, Laika is batting 1,000 with me. I think the only one that I haven't seen is they did Coraline, right?
Yes.
That is the only Laika movie I have not seen. I've seen all the rest of them, and I like all of them.
Coraline is probably one of my favorite book to movie adaptations ever because they're both really good and they're both definitely carries the spirit. Also, Coraline was originally released in 3D. I wish you would have seen it in 3D because it would have made it even scarier than it already is, and it's can be kind of haunting, but still a very good version of children's horror. And of course, it was directed by Henry Selick, who's a legendary animator, who of course was the real director of Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim Burton was more of a producer.
Yeah. Actually, I have not seen Nightmare Before Christmas yet either.
They're both pretty good. I think I like Coraline a little bit better.
Well, I'll definitely have to check out Coraline because, like I said, I really dug Missing Link was a really cute movie. And I highly recommend that's a really good family movie.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a high recommend. And one other one that I just went to last night, so I'm kind of tired because I went to the 10:30 screening and I went to Film Scene where they introduce the movies ahead of time, which is kind of cool because they tell you what's coming up at Film Scene and all that stuff. They come in and talk to you.
It's a great indie theater around.
Yes, in Iowa City. And then, of course, the 20 minutes of trailers. And then Parasite is 2 hours and 12 minutes long. And I'll tell you, I was not bored with this really long movie.
So it's 2/3 of an Endgame?
Yes. This was one bizarre movie. It's Bong Joon-ho.
Who's amazing.
Yeah, and this might be one of his best movies. It's a whole thing about the have and have-nots, and it's almost a symbiotic relationship between the rich family and the poorer family because of
which one is Eddie Brock, and then which one is Venom?
Luckily, none of that was in here.
I'm glad. Does Carnage show up?
That would be cool.
How about Scream or Toxin or any others?
I don't want to say much more, though. How about the symbiote
god, Null?
No, none of that.
Okay, good.
But I don't want to say too much more because I went into it completely blind. I don't even know if I saw a trailer for it.
I've heard that's the best way to go, and all I've seen is a poster.
And I just saw that, like, everyone's been raving about this movie, and that's not always a sign of a good thing, because there's a lot of movies that people rave, like everyone seems to rave about, and I don't really like. But this one I was not disappointed in. I would highly recommend this one, and if you don't know anything about it, go in blind. So
Bong Joon-ho has been churning out really good movies for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that hopefully he finally gets his big credit where it's due. I'd love to see him get some awards love. I think he already did. He already did. Did it do well at Cannes? I don't remember. It's been to some festivals. It's been received
all
very
I
well.
know is that it's been like, there's not many people out there that do not love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't love it like some of the people that are raving about it, but it's one of the best I've seen this year. It's really good. So,
but yeah, I especially like Memories of Murder, which is a great true crime film that he did. And then I also really like his film Mother, not to be confused with Mother! The Bong Joon-ho Mother is much better than the Darren Aronofsky Mother. I'm just going to say that right now.
I'm not sure how much I've seen. I've seen The Host, which is good, and I've seen Snowpiercer, which I really loved.
Snowpiercer is, I think, a easier entry point.
It's the more accessible one.
Especially at least for Americans, because it was made in English. So if you're not a fan of subtitles, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it's starring Captain America himself, Chris Evans, as well as Jamie Bell, John Hurt,
Tilda Swinton,
and
who was the
Octavia Spencer,
and
Ed Harris, because of course Ed Harris would be in this kind of movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I would highly recommend, if you're not familiar with him, and like you said, you're not into foreign movies, which try and get to that point, but start off with Snowpiercer and see it. If you like that, then I would dive into his work.
Yeah, and Snowpiercer is such a weird thing because it's a French comic book made into a South Korean film starring Captain America.
So the French Korean American.
Pretty wild.
So those are my some recommendations in there. I would say Black Swan and Parasite are the two biggest recommendations, and family-wise, check out Missing Link. And now on to the Imperial Dreams. Dun,
yep.
Dun, dun. Oh, I don't even want to mess with that copyright.
So Imperial Dreams came out in 2014. Who was it directed by?
You would have to ask. Malik Vital?
We hope it's...
Vital? This is his only feature-length credit.
So far.
So
has he done some TV stuff or like some
there might have been some shorts, I think.
Okay.
So, and good on him. He got a movie out there. It's on Netflix, which that's one good thing about Netflix is they pick up a lot of stuff that it's
kind of goes on the festival circuit, but then sometimes gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, and then it's accessible to everybody because most people have Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So it premiered at the 2014 Sundance Film Festival, and then released as a Netflix original film on February 3rd of 2017. So it was kind of shelved for like 3 years until Netflix picked it up after that festival. It's got a 92% with 12 critics and 83% with 622 users.
And it does have some star power behind it. Of course, the big star being main character played by John Boyega, who of course we all know and love from his famous film Attack the Block.
Yes, which actually is a fantastic movie.
I haven't seen it. I've heard good things.
Oh, it's so good.
But no, also from his other really famous film, The Star War Trek or something.
Yeah, that one.
The Force Arousin or something.
His name is like Finn and Feather or something like that.
I'm pretty sure it's Feather.
No, so this was before he became big. So that's probably why it got picked up by Netflix, because they're like, oh, this is John Boyega movie on the shelf. It's kind of like Cabin in the Woods happened with Chris Hemsworth. Did that before he became Thor, but it was released after his first appearance as Thor.
Mm-hmm.
So It's like, oh, this guy's big all of a sudden, and he had a movie just sitting on a shelf out there. Let's snag that and put it out there for people. They'll watch that because he's in it.
Yeah.
And I like him. He's a good actor. This movie opens up with him coming home to the Watts Projects in L.A., and that's apparently a place where there was like these big riots in like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And this has got a lot narrated by him. And so he's walking home and he just kind of says, when you're coming back home to the projects after you've been in jail, you just kind of keep your head down and be quiet and just kind of slink back in and don't make a fuss about anything. And he goes into a house and we meet. There are a lot of great nicknames. His name is Bambi. And there's a thing later where they talk about you want a soft name like that because the softer the name, the harder the kid. So because he's got to defend himself a little more. It's kind of like the old Johnny Cash, A Boy Named Sue.
Yeah.
But he goes in and meets his Uncle Shrimp, who was played by Glenn Plummer, who is, you've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's got like 143 credits since 1987.
Nice, solid working actor.
Yeah, so he's been around the block, and he basically comes back to, and you kind of see what his life was before because his uncle offers him a gun and says his cousin's in hiding because he got into a tiff with some other gang or something like that.
So he comes from criminal background, but this is really a story about a man who's trying to stay straight.
Yeah. He started writing while he was in prison, and it kind of, I think prison changed him. He was one of those people who actually did get changed by prison.
Well, and he's been in and out several times over his life, and that's what he started writing to help get some of his frustration out.
And when he gets back home, his uncle asks him to start hauling oxy over state lines, and he's like, no, I just got out of prison. I want to go straight. I want to write my book. I want to get a job, job.
I want to go straight, and I want to do it for my son because he's got a 10-year-old.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I don't know if they really say, but like when he walks in, they're like, "Do you know who this is?" So like he must have been gone for.
He's probably I think he said like 6-7 years.
Yeah. And his son is like, 10 years old in this movie?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
And so he comes home and he's like, I've got a 10-year-old son who barely knows who I am. And we find out later that his mom is in prison too, or his wife, or his girlfriend. The kid's mom is in prison too, so they actually go and visit her. And so he's like, no, I want to get out of this place. And this whole movie is basically about him. It's basically about the injustice of the system.
Very much systemic racism, I believe, as well.
Yeah. Because it's a vicious circle when you come from an area like that, because you go back and all of the problems that you find yourself in is like he's got a half-brother who's living with his dad, and he's in a apartment complex or whatever, and so Bambi wants to go stay with him. And they're like, no, if you have any sort of criminal record, you can't stay in this complex. It's like, even if you want to go straight, if you have any criminal record, you can't stay here. And so he's got to stay with his Uncle Shrimp. Well, his Uncle Shrimp doesn't want him in the house if
he's not going to do business, yeah.
If he's not going to do business. Selling that...
Then he's got to get a job for his parole officer, and then...
And his mom is a junkie. She's like laying on the floor, passed out when he comes home.
So that's not good for him and his son either.
So eventually it comes to him leaving Shrimp's house because he's like, well, I don't want to work for you, but I have nowhere to go. So he takes his beat up old car, puts some blankets up on the windows and some strings of lights, and him and his son just sleep out there.
So yeah, and of course, you get stopped and frisked by the cops because of course. And this is almost a frustrating watch because you feel his frustration along with you. At one point in the film, he's all about he needs to get a job. It's like, okay, well, in order to apply for some of these jobs, you need to have a valid driver's license. Then he goes over to try and get a driver's license. but he can't get a driver's license because
he owes money.
He owes alimony. Well, it doesn't.
Child support.
Well, it's like, okay, well, like, the mother's in prison, and I'm here with my son. So then, how am I supposed to pay that if I don't have a job?
And if I can't get a license because I haven't paid my child support,
you can't get a job.
I can't get a job to pay for the child support. So, and it really is, and this isn't even, it's probably much, much worse in these areas, but this is something that a lot of people go through. There's this circle of things where it's like, you got to do this to get this, but in order to get that, you have to do the other thing first. So it's like, it's just, you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's like, well,
you just can't catch a break.
You've got to be able to get something, like, and it's just, and you sit there going, why does he need to pay that off to get a driver's license? Like, you should be able to get a driver's license even if you owe money. Like that has nothing to do with money. It's a driver's license. You pass a driver's test to get that. So, yeah, so he's got this loop that he can't get a job, so he can't get his son off the street.
But the one thing he does have is that he got a story or a poem into a literary magazine while he was in prison.
Yeah, and that kind of, I think that kind of sparked his hope that maybe his writing is good enough that he can go somewhere with that.
He can kind of write his way out of his problems.
And I do like that this is how the narration is done in this movie. Is a lot of it, there's some voiceover where he just kind of tells how it is, and then some of the other narration you get is him reading his own writing to his son as a bedtime story, because he's trying to tell his son what he grew up with and how he's trying to change and trying to raise his son to be a better person than he was. So I really like that it was someone who had a lot of conviction for staying on the right path, no matter what kind of problems he runs into in this movie. There's a couple times where you're like, I understand if you just go back to this criminal way of life, because you're just getting shit on.
Yeah, what choice do you have at some point?
But he sticks with it through the whole thing, and it's a really, it's a feel good in that that he's gonna make it.
I wouldn't necessarily say feel good, but
not feel good, but like it kind of, like,
it is hopeful.
It's a hopeful, not feel good, but hopeful, because you see that this character is someone who is bound and determined to make it.
And about 2/3 through the film, he loses his son to the foster care system because he doesn't have adequate housing. So the child services comes and takes his son from him. And it's a heartbreaking scene, because this is pretty much, he's doing everything he possibly can.
That was actually towards the end of the movie.
But it still just wasn't enough.
Yeah. And that was another point where, he's followed through the movie by these two cops that know his reputation. And he gets, pulled over. At one point, he gets into an argument with Uncle Shrimp. Bubba Gump Shrimp. He gets in an argument with Uncle Shrimp, and he actually pulls a gun on him because he witnesses his cousin getting shot early in the movie by this other gang. And he grabs the gun off of him so that his cousin isn't dead with a gun in his hand. And so he goes and hides the gun, and then later he just gets angry at everything because his cousin, who's trying to go to college, or his brother, half brother, who's trying to go to college, he's also facing some of these things. And he's the other side of the story where he's like, I need to go to college, and I've maxed out credit cards, I've maxed out my loans, and I'm still $3,000 short, and I can't do anything to get this money. So he decides to go drive for Uncle Shrimp. And so Bambi gets mad about that and goes there and says, no, you can't do this. And pulls a gun on Shrimp and punches him in the face. And then his mom runs out with his son. And so he goes and he runs out of the house and goes looking for his son. And the cops pull him over while he's running down the street. And they go and take him to the gang that they're trying to get dirt on, while he's sitting there going, my heroin junkie mother has my son I'm trying to find him and you're doing this to me right now. Like I haven't done anything wrong. And so just because of his past and how it's just haunting him. So he eventually gets his son back, and
until then, of course, then after that is towards the end, his son is taken into the foster system. But at the end of the film, you see he's still involved with his son's life, and one of the subplots is he's trying to get something into like this literary agent or literary service so they can submit it to some places.
Yeah.
And he was able to talk his way into it.
And the nice thing is his cousin, who still is into all the criminal activity, was very supportive for him too, and is like, I got this computer for you, and you know that he stole that somewhere. Mm-hmm. But it was still like, hey, you're trying to stay out of this? That's cool. I'm going to help you try and do that, and you don't have to do all this crap. It's his Uncle Shrimp that like just will not let it go. He's like, if you want to live in this house and you want to stay here, then you got to help me with my drug business.
So the film ends with him narrating over what he's going through while he's still involved with his son, where him, his son, and his half-brother all go to like a YMCA and go swimming.
Yeah, that's right. And it seems like it's a like just a visitation thing. Mm-hmm. Because like you said... It
probably is or something. Yeah. We're still involved in some sort.
Like you said, there was also the heartbreaking scene where his son got taken away. And it was another one where I loved that he showed restraint. Like, he accepted that, like, the way he's going to get his son back is by not getting angry and not, doing anything violent against these cops and the child service protector. Because, yeah, the cops have been kind of following him and harassing him, but they're doing their job. And the child service protection lady, she seems like a nice enough lady in this movie, and she's just doing her job. She sees that he's living in a car. Like, that's not her fault. I mean, it's not his fault either, but it's like, well, she's just doing her job to make sure that a kid's not living on the street and gets a good home. So, but she even says, do you have relation? Stay in contact with me. We'll make this happen. We'll make sure that he stays with relation so that you can get on your feet and you can get your son back. So, and then, he got angry, rightfully so, but he also showed restraint and held back his anger a little bit. And then, yeah, you see him and his brother go and swim at the end with his son. And like I said, it seems like a visitation thing, but at least he's seeing his son and trying to do the best he can for him.
Yeah, this is a small movie, but I think it's great. It's a good movie.
It really is. There's so many of these movies that are about the actual criminal element rather than getting out of the criminal element. This one is more, he's already done that. You're not seeing that part of his past. You hear about it, so you know what was going on back then, but it's more about, okay, where do I move on from here? And what do I have to do to get out of this situation?
If anything, it's about a struggle for, I guess, redemption.
Yeah.
Not just in, society as a former inmate, but also just redemption of self and redemption, most importantly, for his child, so his child can have a better life than he had growing up.
Yeah, exactly. So, overall, what would you give this movie?
I would definitely recommend this movie. I think it's a good watch and has some important discussion points too.
I'm gonna have to say the same. It's on Netflix. Most of all, y'all have Netflix, and it's a really well made movie too. Like I said earlier, this is this guy's first feature length film. I wouldn't mind seeing more from this guy.
And of course, I would also want to highlight it for great actors all around, definitely anchored by John Boyega, because he's almost always on screen. So this pretty much is, he has the entire movie on his shoulders. So if he didn't perform well, it wouldn't work at all. But of course, since he's such a competent actor, he does it very well.
And if you want to see more than just his Finn character and see what he really can do, I think this is a better showcase of his acting ability. He's got more to work with in this.
Yeah, definitely more, I guess, I don't want to say nuance, but more character depth.
Yeah.
With, of course, Finn's great. we love him. He's got a certain amount of character depth. This is, I guess, the much more actory role, if that makes any sense.
Yes, yeah. Because, I mean, even with, like, Last Jedi, Finn and Rose don't even have to exist in that movie. That's how much character depth they have. Like, there is no point for their storyline.
Oh, come on.
It's only there because Laura Dern is a dick to Poe. But no, this shows his acting, and also mention the movie you mentioned earlier. Go watch Attack the Block. So good and awesome score. Stephen Price and I think Junkie XL did the score for that.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite movie scores. Yeah, this is a recommend for me. We have a recurring actor from one of our past movies a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Anika Noni Rose was the child service person.
Nice.
And she was in Assassination Nation.
Cool.
As the mother of those sisters.
Awesome.
So I don't even know if we've had a lot of crossover with actors. This is like our 30-something episode.
There might have been a few, I'm sure.
Like little ones here and there. Maybe I just haven't noticed them as much, but a lot of our first movies were all...
Yeah, I'm sure one of the actors from Redneck Zombies shows up.
one of the actors from Dead Time somewhere. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to Dead Time.
Oh, man.
I would recommend our podcast over that movie.
I would too. So what about your double feature?
Okay, I kind of went with, like I said, Imperial Dreams is more about the aftermath of he's gotten out of prison, he's done that criminal life, and we're trying to move on from there. So I went back to one that, and I watched it for the first time as a double feature for this, because I didn't see it when it came back in 1993, was Menace to Society, which is more about, it's almost kind of like probably what John Boyega's character would be doing at that point, like in his criminal part of the criminal part of his life. It's also takes place in the Watts Projects, and so it's in the same area, and it's about a guy who is just also he grew up watching his family commit crimes and do gang-related stuff, and that's just what he knew, so that's what he does. So, he'll go and steal hubcaps off of someone else's car. He'll pull a gun on someone. They'll shoot people up. And all this violence, and finally, towards the end of the movie, he's like, I can't, I shouldn't be doing this anymore, and wants to get out. But it is a very violent movie. I don't know if you've seen this one.
I have not.
Okay. It came out 2 years after Boys in the Hood, which is another one that I would recommend for this also, because that was almost a less harsh version of Menace to Society, but it's also a very good movie, and that is one that I have seen a couple of times, and I also rewatched that one recently, and it really holds up. So both of those movies there are characters that want to get out, like more so in... He doesn't seem quite as motivated for most of the movie in Menace to Society to actually get out of it. He's just like, this is what I know. This is what I'm doing. This is, but in Boys in the Hood, you're following a couple of characters who are trying to go and make something of their lives. And they've got friends and relatives that are in the gangs and all that stuff, and gang related activity and all that. So I would actually recommend either one of those movies as a double feature with this.
My recommendation is much more recent. I would pick Moonlight, directed by Barry Jenkins and shot by Bradford Young, because not only is that film gorgeous with its use of color, it's also very heartfelt, and it's also about growing up in a bad situation, trying to make the most of it. Also, it's just exquisite, and it's, based on a play, I believe. Yeah, that's based on a play, which is a very personal story. And also, the structure is unique because it's kind of divided into 3 kind of episodes, almost like a play, or 3 acts, with the main characters played by 3 different actors.
Yeah, and I saw this one. From everything that, all the recognition that it got, I wanted to like it more than I did. Mm-hmm. I was not a big fan of this movie, but I'm not going to say anything about it. It is
definitely well made.
It is a beautifully shot movie. It is a good story. I think that my issue might be the same thing I had with, what was the movie he just recently came out? If Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh, yeah.
I think I liked that movie even better, but it had one of the same problems where he lingers on a shot. It just
especially faces.
Lingers on a face, a close-up, and you get it. You see the emotion on their face, and then about 3 minutes after you're sick of seeing their face, he finally goes to another shot.
Not for you?
No, just not for me.
That's A-okay.
But even though I don't personally like it, I would still recommend it to check it out because it is a beautifully shot movie. It is a good story. I just didn't like the style, but that was my own personal preference. Everyone's got their opinions. You know what they say, assholes and opinion. Everyone's got one. So yeah, that's I think that's a lot of good movies to watch with this one, and definitely check this out on Netflix.
Oh yeah. Of course, now we've got the best part of every episode. Your favorite part of every episode. Where we get to spin the wheel of fun.
We get to find out what to watch next.
Spin, 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 spin. Everybody.
I was not very prepared today, and I didn't have the website up like usual.
Kyle, I'm disappointed.
Oh, Real Good's telling me to check out Disney Plus and Apple TV. No, I don't have those.
I got Disney Plus because I am trash.
I know. I want to protest it so bad because I hate Disney right now, but
you're gonna get it.
I have 2 kids, 2 young girls, and the thing is I can protest it all I want, but they still got 10 million subscribers in the first day.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what am I gonna do?
Just gonna, at this point, you're just yelling at a cloud.
Because I love Disney movies. We own all of the cartoons on Blu-ray, like all the cartoon movies that have come out on Blu-ray. We own them all. There's a lot of great Disney movies out there. I love Marvel. I love Star Wars. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. I just don't like Disney as a company right now.
Very fair. Monopolies or virtual monopolies are scary things.
Yeah, and I wish more of the general public. This is my PSA. The general public needs to look into how Disney is really bullying theaters right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a good thing. It is not good for the future of movies. So, that being said, I'll get off my soapbox now and go to the movie roulette here. 70% or better.
All right, what genre are you feeling, Kyle?
I don't know. I've been okay. I've been okay with what they've been doing with all genres lately. But do we want to do? Because we've discussed it before, where you put in drama and you get like a dramedy or a thriller. You put in thriller, you put in horror, you get a thriller movie. You put in, So like the only ones that really give you what you're actually asking for would probably be animation, horror, and cult.
I don't know. We could try comedy.
Try a comedy. Okay, we're gonna give this a spin.
Spin.
This one says comedy drama.
Okay.
Okay, let's go more info here and see. What do we got here? It's on Prime Video. A sex and love addicted woman learns what real intimacy is when she starts making music with a reclusive man.
Oh boy.
Is this like making music, or is it like literally making music? I think it's
literal music. What is it? Music and lyrics?
No, it is called Unlovable, and I don't. Oh, it's got John Hawkes in it, so that's always good. And Melissa Leo.
When did it come out?
This came out in 2018.
Okay.
It's on Prime Video.
How many reviews does it have?
Let me go to Rotten Tomatoes and see, because the thing is with this site, it doesn't actually ever say
how many reviews are for a film.
Yeah.
Because someone could still be like 100% with 2.
Yeah, exactly. 2 people liked this movie. What did I say this was? Unlovable?
Mm-hmm.
Unlovable. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. Guess I'll go eat worms.
Nobody knows.
It's another one of those with 16 reviewers.
We should probably go
81%. See, and that's the thing.
Spin again.
Newer movies, yeah. We're going to go back to the old Spinaroo.
Spinaroo.
Do we want comedy still?
Yes.
We'll give it one more try?
One more try.
Okay, Okay, this is an older movie, so maybe it's got more.
Read the description. I want to know.
A group of women of Indian descent take a trip together from their home in Birmingham, England, to the beach resort of Blackpool.
Cool.
Baji on the Beach is at 89%. You know, I'm going to look at this one. Baji on the Beach.
When did it come out?
1993.
Okay.
I forgot how to spell Baji already. I just looked at it. On the Beach. I don't know if I'm going to find this one.
I'm so excited.
That you just can't hide it. Okay, well, you know what? We'll just... the tags on this one. Female director. Well, there you go.
Always good.
It's an independent comedy.
Right on.
So, from 1993. Featuring Kim Vitana and Jimmy Harkishin.
Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Stewart.
It says I'm real good. It's a comedy and a drama movie with a high Rotten Tomatoes score of 89%.
All right. Baji on the Beach. Where can we find it?
On the Beach. Amazon Prime.
Cool.
So you can find a lot of stuff on Amazon Prime.
True. It's definitely some stuff you don't necessarily want to find on Amazon Prime, but it's there anyway.
And then if you watched Unlovable and you want to tell us that we were fools to skip over it, then let us know.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments.
And on Twitter.
And on Twitter, at AwesomeKM.
And at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
And you can also follow us on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. Email us at WeDon'tKnowWhatToWatch@gmail.com. Where else are we? Anywhere? I don't think so.
Send us a telegram to the North Pole.
And we'll make sure it gets to Santa.
Yes.
So...
Until then, bye.
Until then, persevere and just
Conceal,
keep
don't
swimming.
feel.
Just keep swimming.
Sure.